You do not look bad in photos because you are unattractive. You look bad in photos because the image cannot contain your totality. What you are is not just a face, a posture, a flash frozen in a second. What you are is an ever-unfolding myth, a soul in motion, a being seen from 1,000 angles. The camera only catches a fragment, and fragments by nature distort. Today, we will uncover the deeper truths behind why photographs often fail you, and why the image that matters most isn't the one captured on the lens, but the one rising from within. The camera, in its mechanical simplicity, does not see as the soul sees. It records surfaces, angles, lighting, posture, but it misses the invisible weight of presence. What it often captures is not the essence of who you are, but the face you've been trained to wear. This is the persona, the mask shaped by culture, expectations, and the silent contracts we make with the world around us. It is the expression you've rehearsed for mirrors, the smile conditioned for approval, the look molded to avoid rejection. When the shutter clicks, it doesn't just catch a moment, it catches a performance. And if you've lived long enough with that performance, you may have forgotten it's a mask at all. Yet your deeper self, your soul, knows the difference. It watches that image from the depths and whispers, "That is not me." The tension you feel when looking at a photo that doesn't satisfy you is not narcissism. It is a spiritual dissonance, a misalignment between the image projected and the truth felt. The soul cannot be lit with a ring light. It reveals itself in stillness, in story, in shadow. It shows in how you listen to silence, how your eyes hold pain, how your presence makes a room feel. These are not traits the lens can capture. They are dimensions that can only be lived, not displayed. The tragedy is that we often judge ourselves by the reflection of a mask, forgetting that our essence moves far beneath the surface. The camera is not evil, it is just blind. It sees only what the eye can see. But the soul lives in the unseen, and when we forget this, we suffer. We think the photograph has exposed something flawed in us, when really, it has only exposed the limits of the image. You look bad in photos not because you are unattractive, but because you are too deep to be flattened into pixels. What the camera catches is the persona, but what you are longing for is the reflection of your soul. And that cannot be captured. It can only be known. You are not a statue carved from marble. You are a stream that never stops flowing. You shift with every thought, every breath, every flicker of emotion. Your being is not fixed. It pulses, dances, trembles, and transforms from moment to moment. And yet, the camera demands stillness. It asks you to freeze. It traps you in a millisecond and declares, "This is who you are." But that frame is already a lie the moment it is taken. It has halted your becoming and reduced your depth to an image. The reason you often recoil when you see a photograph of yourself is because it has betrayed your fluidity. It did not catch the warmth in your laughter, the subtlety in your posture, the timing of your glance. It caught something between movements, a flicker without context, a transition without purpose. And what is caught in transition often appears awkward, incomplete, or unfamiliar. This is not a failure of your appearance. It is a failure of the frame to honor your aliveness. Imagine watching a single frame of a dancer mid-leap. Limbs may look contorted, the face strained, the body unbalanced. But in motion, its beauty, its grace. The same is true of you, your beauty, your presence, your essence. It's in the movement, not the pause. You live in your gestures, in how you shift your weight when you speak, in how your face brightens when you hear a certain voice. These are sacred movements of the soul manifesting through the body, and no shutter, no matter how advanced, can catch that holiness. The photo, in its silence, forgets your rhythm. It forgets that you are a story unfolding, not a moment concluded. It forgets that your truth lies in your becoming, not in being boxed into a single captured second. You look bad, not because the image is wrong, but because it interrupts the sacred motion of who you are. To judge yourself by a still frame is like judging a novel by a single sentence. You are not meant to be paused. You are meant to be witnessed in motion, where all your contradictions harmonize, where your body speaks with your spirit, and where your true self is not frozen but alive. Deep within each of us lives an image, a symbolic vision of who we are, forged not by the mirror, but by memory, emotion, and experience. It is not constructed from selfies or compliments or reflections in shop windows. It is shaped by how we feel ourselves to be in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It is the image born of the dreams we've lived, the wounds we've carried, the triumphs we've tasted, and the longing that never leaves us. This inner image is not visual. It is energetic, it is mythic, and it is deeply sacred. But then comes the photograph, cold, external, unfeeling. It hands you a version of yourself that often feels alien, sometimes even insulting. The jawline doesn't sit right, the eyes seem hollow, the posture looks tense or unsure. You stare at the image and feel betrayed, not because it captured something untrue, but because it captured something you don't recognize. And that recognition is the heart of the conflict. The dissonance between the inner image and the outer image creates a kind of psychic tension. Your inner image may feel powerful, poetic, magnetic, even divine, because that is how you walk through your private world. You feel yourself through your emotions, your intuition, your imagination. And then suddenly, the photograph reduces all of that richness to something flat, two-dimensional, stripped of mystery. It offers you an outline when your soul longs to be seen in depth. And so begins the inner war. One part of you trusts the feeling, I know I am more than this image. Another part begins to doubt, but if this is how others see me, what if my inner image is just a fantasy? That self-doubt doesn't arise from vanity. It arises from a spiritual ache. The ache of not being mirrored back in your fullness. The world often rewards the outer image. It praises the symmetrical, the photogenic, the polished, but the soul doesn't care for polish, it cares for truth. It is not concerned with how well your smile is framed or how perfect the lighting is. The soul asks a deeper question, does this image reflect who I really am? When the answer is no, we are left unsettled. Not because the photo is ugly, but because it is incomplete, a fragment mistaken for a whole. We are haunted not by how we look, but by how unseen we feel in what we look like. The solution is not to chase better angles or filters. It is to reconcile the two images, not by forcing them to match, but by honoring both. To say, this outer image is how the world sees me in fragments, but I know myself in symbols, in silence, in sacred memory. To live from the inside out, not the outside in. That is how the conflict begins to soften, not through perfection but through integration. When you look into the eyes of another person, something sacred occurs. There is movement, there is presence, there is the living exchange of being seen and seeing. The eyes respond, they shift with emotion, they soften with empathy, they glow with recognition. In this reciprocity, something more than vision is taking place. It is a witnessing. A validation of your existence, your mood, your presence in the moment. It is this invisible mirroring that makes us feel real, alive, and connected. But in a photograph, that sacred feedback is absent. The eyes staring back at you are frozen, unblinking, devoid of life. They do not shift in response to your gaze. They do not soften when you are gentle or flare when you feel proud. They do not acknowledge your presence. They are silent, indifferent reflections of a past moment, cut off from the current of feeling that animates you now, and in that eerie stillness, something deeply human feels missing. When you look at your own photo, you are not looking at a self that sees you. You are looking at a shell that once was animated by you, and so the unease arises. Those eyes may resemble yours in shape and color, but they are not witnessing you. They are not alive with the soul that resides behind your eyes right now. This creates a psychic split, a moment of uncanny detachment. You see a version of yourself that doesn't respond to your presence. You are faced with a gaze that feels mute, and in that muteness you feel alone. This is more than discomfort. This is an archetypal crisis, because to be truly human is not just to exist, but to be seen, to be felt, to be mirrored back by others and by oneself. The photograph, for all its clarity, cannot reflect your presence. It cannot mirror the intelligence behind your gaze. It cannot echo back the soul that lives behind your eyes. And so, what stares back at you is not a lie, but a silence. We are not disturbed by the image itself. We are disturbed by its emptiness, by the lack of life behind the look. Because when we gaze into our own image and find no soul looking back, we feel a strange kind of grief. The grief of not being mirrored in the way we know ourselves to exist. A living eye is an invitation. A photo eye is a door closed in both directions. And yet, this is not a condemnation of photography. It is a reminder that the soul is not in the image. It is in the interaction. That no photo, however perfect, can replace the sacred exchange of presence. And if your eyes in the image seem strange or unfamiliar, it is not because you are lacking beauty. It is because the soul behind those eyes has long since moved on. You are no longer who you were in that frozen moment. You have changed, you are changing, you are alive. The photograph is still, but you are not. That is why it cannot witness you. Only you can do that. Only you can hold the truth of your ever unfolding presence. There is a subtle but profound truth that many overlook. You are not the image of yourself. You are the one who watches the image. The picture, no matter how sharp, no matter how vivid, is a representation, not a reality. It is a shadow, a symbol, a flattened echo of a moment already gone, and yet we often forget this. We look at a photograph of ourselves and mistake it for identity. We allow it to judge us, define us, narrate a story about our worth. But the image is not the self, it is an object the self observes. Think of how the mind works in dreams. You may see yourself, distorted, unfamiliar, shifting forms, yet the dreamer, the witness, always knows, this is me, but also not me. That same truth applies here. The photograph is a dream captured by light and glass, but it does not contain you. You are the awareness that sees it. You are the consciousness that feels the discomfort, the curiosity, the critique. And if you are the one who watches, then you are also the one with the power to interpret, to choose what the image means, or if it means anything at all. The real self is not static. It cannot be captured. It is vast, unfolding, paradoxical. It lives in your memories, your longings, your visions of the future. It dwells in your silence, your desires, your voice when you speak what is most true. No camera can hold that. A photograph can no more capture the soul than a statue can dance. And so, when you look at an image of yourself and feel something missing, it is because the essential you has already moved on, grown, deepened, shifted. There is a kind of liberation in remembering this. You are not bound to your image. You are not limited by what is seen. You are the observer, the inner presence who never stops watching, evolving, becoming. The image is a moment, but you are a movement. The image is a reflection, but you are the light that casts it. To reclaim your freedom from the tyranny of appearance, you must remember this. The image is inert. You are alive. The image is silent. You are the voice. The image is a map, but you are the terrain. Let the photo exist. Let it be what it is, a frozen moment, a souvenir of time, but never confuse it for your being. Because your being is sacred, untouchable, endlessly becoming. And no picture, however beautiful or unflattering, can define the mystery of the one who watches.